You're listening to the Esoterix Podcast, hosted by Joe Figueres and Fioraliz Franco. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast.
We're welcoming Peggy today. Hi, Peggy.
Hello. How are y'all doing?
We're good. We're good.
So we're starting off in this October energy. How is the month treating you so far post eclipse?
Oh, sorry. I don't know if the microphone just caught that sigh that I just did.
Yeah.
It may have, but yeah, it's been a month. I feel like I was really thinking that the eclipse was going to be like so kind to me, and it pretty much dragged me across the rocks. That's kind of what it felt like. How about you?
Yeah, same. I think. Yeah, it's been. It's felt like a longer month. We're only towards the middle now, and it just feels like everything's been really slow. And at the same time, I feel like I've accomplished very little. It's I don't know.
Yeah. So I track everything, right? Because I'm like, all right, now what's happening now and how is it going to it's because of the work that I do with the soul blueprint. I thought because I've done the work and because I'm a Capricorn and because that it was going to be easy and all I have to do is stay positive. Now, okay, it bent me over and then jammed something up there.
Oh no.
Eclipse energy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
None of us
very
appear to be
unfortunate.
happy about it.
No.
It stung a little.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the next season. I'm ready to close this chapter.
Yeah. I am too. I'm excited about the move into Pluto and Aquarius. I am glad that Pluto has gone direct though, because I don't know. I just thought the retrograde it kept bringing shit up, and I'm like, didn't we already handle
Deal with
that?
this? Yeah, no.
Like, how many times
No.
are we going to revisit this? Let's quit
Yeah.
beating the dead horse and just get on with it. That's kind of, yeah.
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 And it's that 29 degree, right, Peggy? It's that 29th degree that is causing all of the trouble.
The Capricorn, the Pluto and Capricorn and 29 degrees.
Oh,
That?
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like
Yes.
sleeping at the wheel for a minute there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the final chapter.
It is.
Are you ready to
It's
close
like
this
the
book?
Death rattle. I don't know. That was really, I am not my normal optimistic self today, so I apologize. I just started to use the words death rattle, and then we're like 2 minutes in. So,
I mean, it is October, so it's appropriate, right?
that's true. I'm keeping in theme. So,
Right.
you're welcome.
And I think it's hard for people to maintain their positivity right now. People are just tired and exhausted.
Yeah.
And, there's a Facebook group that I belong to, run by an astrologer and all of her people. And they're all complaining about, the last couple days. And then she put a warning out about the next couple days. And I'm like, but yesterday was no cakewalk. It was awful. I was crying. I was in my tears. I was in my frustration. And then I was happy and manic.
We've got it's a water sign stellium thing going on. There's like a Neptune conjunction with some water signs, like a Pisces thing. I don't maybe Peggy knows about this.
I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I'm so used to working like a month ahead. Then it's like
Right.
the astrology of the moment, like completely. Yeah, I'm like not in the moment. I'm always way ahead.
If I remember correctly, I believe we're still, Virgo is still in Scorpio. It hasn't entered Libra yet. I'm sorry. Venus is still in Scorpio. And so if it hasn't moved into
Mhm.
Libra yet, so that's and then I think Mars is in a water sign as well. And then I want to say Neptune is too. So that's what's causing all your waterworks, Joe.
Yeah, Mars is in Cancer, Neptune is in Pisces. And we've also got Saturn in
Yeah.
Pisces right now. And
Yeah.
right
So
now the
that's
moon
all
is
the
in
water
Pisces.
signs.
So it is,
Oh, there you
we
yeah.
are
It's
all
all the water.
awash right now in water energy. So
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find out. So my Neptune is in Scorpio, in my natal. And so I was like, what is going on with that? Right. Because Scorpio, we haven't entered Scorpio yet, but there's that's what it feels like for me. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just feeling a little bit like I want to sting. Right. So I looked it up and I didn't realize how potent Neptune and Scorpio is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been fun because I look at each individual sort of, like I look at my Neptune and Scorpio, I look at my Pluto and Virgo, I look at my Saturn and Aries, and I look them up and I learn about them, and that's how I learn about my birth chart.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's hard. It's hard right now. So we need to just give ourselves a little bit of love.
Yeah.
Agreed. Little
And
grace for ourselves.
Yes.
and
Yes.
also just time, like just you don't have to react in the moment. It's
No.
the big thing.
That is a good point.
What's going on with everybody? Anything fun? Anything interesting? Anything cool?
I've been watching Agatha all along. Have you watched
You
it?
have? I don't have Disney
Yes.
Plus. I want to.
I'll share
Is it good?
I'll share my password with you.
Okay.
I hate how we've got into this stupid streaming service thing. I don't want to go off on a rant, but like I hate how we canceled all our cable because we were quote unquote saving money, and now here we are like paying for five
Paying
different
even more.
streaming services, paying
Yep.
even more. Anyway, Agatha all along. I like it. I think I'm curious. I want to talk to April about it and see if she's watched it because I want to know because they do bring in a lot of elements of actual witchcraft into it, which
Nice.
I thought was cool, but I wonder if other witches find it offensive. I like it. I think it's clever. But I also love Aubrey Plaza. So and she's in it, and so I'm game for it. I like it.
I love that. No, I agree. I just finally broke down and got Netflix for like $7 a month, and I'm like, what am I up to now? Probably double of what I before when I just had
Oh yeah.
straight cable.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. Yeah. No.
But they take it out a little bit at a time, so it's
Yeah.
not as impactful.
Yes,
Right?
like drip. You don't notice.
Mhm.
Listen, I get paid once a
Yeah.
month. It hits me all at the same time. So.
It sure does, right? So
It
you get
does.
it. You're like,
I'm over
Yeah.
it. I'm over it. We need a cable streaming. Just one.
just one.
Just one. You know
Or-
what?
Or a
Monopolize
la
it.
carte. A la carte, right? You get to pick, you get a package with 10 options, and these are your options. I would be
Right.
so happy if they
Right.
did that.
Mhm.
I want somebody to monopolize streaming services. Just put it all in one. Just charge me $50 and give me all of them. But
Oh my God.
you know.
Right?
I feel like we're like reinventing cable right now. Like it's going backwards.
Right.
You know, we're like, why
Yeah.
can't we just have one
Yeah.
bill with all the channels?
Right.
But that
Right.
has been so insanely expensive too. It's like, what are our options?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I can't imagine if you have kids, right? Because your kids are probably needing all these other little things too.
Oh yeah. Well, my son has an Xbox subscription that I forget that I pay for sometimes. It's like $50 a year. I don't remember. It was a lot at one point. I have to look into that. Actually, I just reminded myself. See,
Yeah.
I just yeah, absolutely 100%. There's just waste of money on electronic services all over the place.
Right. And really, there's no amount of dishes that really justify that. No amount of loading and unloading the dishwasher.
Right.
Right.
No.
My kids were all talking about a show that they had been watching. And then I went to find the show and I was like, you guys, where are you watching this? Because it's not on Netflix. And then they all started dying laughing and said, hey, Mom, we've had HBO now for like months. That's what.
Oh.
Thanks, guys.
They signed up for it themselves?
Yeah. And they just wondered how long it would take me to notice. They're all like grown. So they, if they were like 10, I would be like, what? Okay, we need to have a discussion. But they laughed. And now actually my daughter's been paying for it for all of us for a month. So she's made up for it. But yeah, they thought that was hysterical for the longest time. So Yeah,
You're being targeted, Peggy. I
I
mean,
am, but that's okay.
but look
It's all
into
right.
that. Little bastards that aren't so little.
Oh, I know. I was like, I was going to want to watch it on HBO, and I haven't. And they've had it this whole how many months? But anyway,
Oh
they're funny
no, I've
like
been
that, I
holding out
guess.
on you.
I could have a teen. I could have a teenager. I don't want a child, but I could have a teenager.
They have their moments. They do. They have their moments.
Mhm.
Okay, so can we talk about Diddy, PDiddy?
Oh yes, and his karma, or whatever this is.
And like he's bringing down. I saw the list the other day and it had like everybody on it. But these are just a list of the people that have gone to his parties, right? So people are
Right.
saying, "Oh, the Diddy list is out." Well, it's in more like an invitation list. And honestly, just because you go to a party doesn't mean that you're
Or just
you
because
know,
you were invited doesn't mean you went too.
that's true.
That's that's a big thing. But I
Yeah.
there's this woman I follow on, I think she's on TikTok and Instagram too, and she's basically a millennial and she dances to stuff, and she's funny. I think she's hilarious. But anyway, one of her things is like millennials switching to Beethoven, and she's dancing to Beethoven because all our millennial artists are linked to P Diddy, so we can't listen to them anymore.
Oh,
It
well,
was
it's true.
sad.
Yeah. Are you familiar with P Diddy and his downfall, Peggy?
I am. However, I'm going to admit that all of
Mhm.
my information so far has come from my 15-year-old son, who historically has inaccurate information, like wildly
It just
inaccurate
gets
information
things
about a lot of things.
really
I have been, you know what? It's been such a month. I'm like, I cannot handle one more thing. I cannot handle having people
Yeah.
that I'm like, damn it, now I can't listen to them. So I've been ignoring it. But then he has been like up in arms about saying things that I'm like, I feel like that's not true. But he's
Yeah.
really
Feel
been
like
sending me
that's not
clips.
true.
There's tunnels underground. I don't even know. Like there's
Yeah.
tunnels.
Yeah.
This is what I am hearing. I don't know how accurate any of this is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay, I love that, right? So we have to meet this kid. He's got to come on. And we'll
yeah.
call it Peggy's Kids Wildly Inaccurate
Oh.
Predictions for 2025. Let's do it.
Yeah, because you know how they're like, kids have a really hard time telling what's, being able to tell what's true and not true on social media. And
Yeah.
he is like the perfect, like he should be in that experiment because half the stuff he says, and I'm like, bless him. I'm like, oh God, that is so not true. Like, where did you
No.
even know? So anyway, so you'll have to enlighten me on what the real story is with this.
I don't know other than okay, so I remember when he got like a bunch of press for beating his girlfriend in the hallway of like his hotel or whatever. Like he like was beating the crap out of her. And he got a bunch of
Yes.
press for that. And then all of a sudden Diddy was like investigated for something. So Fee's a little bit you're more on this cuz
Yes,
it's that celeb gossip stuff. So
because
tell
I'm on
us.
TikTok. Because I'm on TikTok, and
Tell
that's
us,
where
TMZ.
all the real news happens. That's where all the but it's also like you have to be careful, right? Because you have to wade through a lot of opinions, a lot. So if you spend too much time on TikTok, you will come to the conclusion that any notable celebrity under the age of like 50 that has died in the last 20 plus years is probably because Diddy killed them. Like that's that's where you're gonna get to.
Now he's an assassin.
Yeah, so you have to be careful with it. Allegedly, all these things. Because like they're linking him with Brittany Murphy.
Well,
Yeah.
what's the scoop? Like, what's the gist of how did Diddy come
Okay.
down?
The
How did he
gist
get
of
taken
it.
down?
The gist of it is that he bit the hand that fed him. And essentially when he got enmeshed with that whole Ciroc thing, the whole alcohol company, that whole thing,
Vodka.
yeah, that stuff is funded by the Blackstone money family thing. That like the ones that can they just I know I'm wading into
Illuminati.
conspiracy theory type
They're
shit
the
over here.
Illuminati.
It all comes out eventually. That's my personal theory about conspiracy theories is that there's the fine line and there's like a certain like a gradient. Anyway, so we're like in the middle on this one. And so he he pissed off the wrong people, and that the Blackstone money is essentially who got the feds to leak that tape that you're talking about, and that's essentially just like propelled his
Snowballed.
downfall. Yeah, just snowballed his downfall because he just pissed off the wrong people. Because
Hmm.
what he's been doing this for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
He's he's been around, and even okay, so one of the things is his ex,
Mm-hmm.
Kim, what was her name? Kim Evans?
I don't know.
Hold on. Kim Porter. There is a an autobiography that she wrote, and but it was released after she died. She died at 47 years old, and who was the first person on the scene before the cops showed up? Diddy.
That fucker killed her.
Yeah. Yeah, allegedly. uh but she was best friends with Kimora Lee, and the rumor is that Kimora is actually the one that had her autobiography published. And in the biography, so that's a big side of TikTok right now, is just people reading her book, reading Kim Porter's book. And one of the things that is in her book is that when J-Lo was dating Diddy, one day she showed up at Kim Porter's place and she's screaming at Diddy about the shooting at the nightclub and asking him like, why did you do that, and yelling at him, and he's just telling her to calm down or whatever. And then he ended up having somebody who took the rap for all of that. And so, and it's this whole thing, but Kim Porter is a big piece of this puzzle. If you want to like actually dive in and know more, that's where all the hot goss lies.
All right. So the whole thing is so Pluto and Capricorn, right? He's
Yeah.
being exposed for his dirty Diddy deeds, and he's fucking going down. So I feel I don't feel sorry for him. I never listened to his music. I don't care who he's friends with or how influential he is. You know what I need to know? All I need to know is that Eminem has been nothing but dissing him from day one. Eminem has never liked him. And Marshall
Mhm.
Mathers is God to me. I
Mhm.
love me some Marshall, even though he is offensive himself. But
But that song where he talks about
yep. He's got several songs where he mentions, Diddy in negative, or, he sort of slams him. So it is what it is. I think it's interesting from, an extemporaneous sort of, like, I'm not in it, but I'm like, oh, right? And then
Yeah.
I keep
Yeah.
scrolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, every time I see it, I'm like, Pluto and Capricorn, it's doing its job. It's doing its
Yes.
job also in the political arena too. There's lots going on. So
Yeah. Wow.
we shall see. We shall see. Weren't we talking earlier about potential about somebody who predicted the whole downfall of Trump? You were saying something earlier before we were recording.
Yes. Before we were recording, I was talking about, her name is the real medium Matilda.
Okay.
On TikTok. And yes, she's one of the ones that has predicted for a while that towards the end of September, early October, that she's seeing Trump just start to lose his mind. And
Which he's already started.
Yeah, and that by the end of October, so eventually onto the ticket, she sees him that he won't be on the ticket, is what she's saying.
Who the heck would be on the I mean, they would never pick Vance, because Vance isn't going to get. He's not going to. People hate him almost as much than Trump.
I don't know.
They'll bring somebody
that's
in,
why
like
I don't make
freaking Elon Musk.
Oh God.
I just like shivered when you said that. I was just like, I had like a visceral reaction to that.
Hellscape. No.
I know.
Yeah,
Who
no,
knows?
it's terrible, but I don't know. I don't understand how anyone still supports this guy. So Trump had a rally out here in California over the weekend, out in Coachella in the desert.
Yeah.
And they bussed people out, right? Because the parking lot was like 5 miles away from the venue itself. So they bussed the people from the parking to the venue, and at the end of the rally, they left everybody stranded.
Why? What? People had 5 miles? That's a long way.
Yeah. And you think of like a lot of them are elderly people, like because that's,
Hmm.
who supports them or whatever. But that's typical though. That's do you need a better example of what it is to be a Trump supporter? It's that. Like he's just gonna he brings you out, he, wastes your time and then he just leaves you stranded.
Then he ditches you. Well, and
Ditches
then,
you.
remember, there were some reports that he went to Detroit and then used Detroit as an example of a place that's in ruins in front of Detroit people. It's like,
Oh yeah,
what?
he's been doing that. He's been on a tour of the blue cities talking about how trashy they are. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Seems
don't
like
know
a
that
really good
that's a winning.
strategy.
That's
I
not a
Yeah,
winning strategy.
that is a
It's
winning strategy, I feel like.
It's like, welcome to the shithole that you guys all live in. Come vote for me from your shithole. No.
Oh my goodness. Listen, yeah. Y'all know how I feel about
No,
that.
we know. We all know. We're all on the same
Do you have
boat.
any personal announcements?
Yeah, we are on YouTube now. You
Whoa, that's
Ooh.
exciting.
Yes, so you can
Woohoo.
find the podcast on YouTube, and if you found us on YouTube, leave us a comment. I'd like to
Please.
know. So we're planning on uploading a few little kind of extra episodes that'll be more YouTube friendly.
Yes. And the whole fun thing about, or the important thing about YouTube is that people have to subscribe and comment, and that's what helps the algorithm. So
Yeah.
if you could please do that for us, that would be so amazing. And if you subscribe and comment, one of the things that I will be sure to do is randomly pick somebody who subscribes and comments for a live reading.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Ooh, on YouTube. Ooh.
very
That makes me
cool.
want to like go in as like a
Subscribe and comment.
different, yeah, and then like be like, hey, I love this show. This is the best. And then you choose me, and then you get a reading. That would
We'll do
totally
that
work.
now.
Right.
We'll do that now. Peggy, welcome to the show. I see in your future wealth and
Hmm.
abundance.
Hmm.
So, what about you, Peggy? Do you have any announcements?
You know what? There's a project that I'm hoping to have done in November, and
Okay.
then I will talk about it then. I've been putting all my energy into this,
Okay.
but I'm hoping in the next episode I can talk a little bit more about that.
Okay. And listen, she's mentioned this a couple times, and Fioraliz and I don't even know what it is. So, pins
It must
and
be. I'm building it up way
needles.
too much. Then I'm probably building it up. And people are like, oh, great.
No,
No.
no. I want to look at your personal month numbers because I want to see what's up for you in November. So
Oh, that would be
it could be a
great.
1 month.
Ooh, I
Could
hope
be a 1 month.
that'd be great.
Okay, so I have some announcements, so bear with me. I have a ton of them because right now I have tons of virtual offerings for October and November. So on October 27th, I have my free Astro Rhythm virtual energy update. It's just you and me on Zoom with some other people, and I talk about the astrology and the numerology of the coming phase, which I typically do. I do it a week before any lunar event. So the one I did yesterday is before the full moon insanity that's happening on the 17th in like 3 days. All right. So on 10/27, we're going to look at the new moon in Scorpio on 11/1. I have a virtual spiritual mediumship workshop. So the spiritual mediumship workshop using Akashic energy to open your to open up your communication with spirit guides or spiritual beings or even mediumship, loved ones that have passed over. It doesn't matter. I've done this class live and it's always a hit. It's always fully booked. It's so fun. People love it. There's tons of reviews for it, but I'm doing it virtually. Sunday, November 3rd. It's only like, I don't even know. I think it was like, I think I charged like $33 for it. So it's really accessible. And that's the big thing. People want this info and they want it accessible. So I'm like, all right, well, there we go.
Yeah.
I have a virtual introduction to Astro-Numerology where I teach you about how the numbers of numerology align with the different planets and how that can add depth to your astrology charts, to your readings, to horoscopes, and all that good stuff. So it's
Very
really
cool.
fun. And I will tell you that I'll give you a little sort of example of it when I go over the numerology for November and how the two work together. It's really cool and it's super
Cool.
easy. You just have to learn what number aligns with what planet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm at Psychic Sister in Portland for live one-on-one readings in November 16th. And I probably won't be doing readings there regularly after December. So if you want to face-to-face with me, be sure to book one of the 2 open dates for the remainder of 2024. There's one in November and then there's one in December. And then that's it. I'm going to move on and do other things, which I will announce later.
Oh.
So those are my offerings. So you can find all the links at Linktree on Instagram, websites, show notes, all that stuff. You'll find me.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. So can we talk about the numerology for November?
Yes.
Sounds great.
Do it.
So one of the more important perspectives of numerology is understanding the power and influence of end of year numerology. And that's typically October, November, and December. And I like to review that in October because the last 3 months of any given year are going to sort of be a mirror to the first 3 months of the following year. So anything that we experience in the next 3 months, we're going to experience January, February, and March. It's not exactly the same, but it'll give you a little refresher.
Okay.
It's a preview. So October's 9 universal month energy. So everybody is experiencing this at once. It's universal energy. It's a 9 energy. Is going to prepare us or is preparing us for November's 1 universal month energy, which is then going to be followed by December's 2 universal month energy.
Mm-hmm.
So the next 3 months, we've got this 9-1-2 sort of combo. Okay. So that combo supports transformation and shedding of the old to prepare for a new beginning and a partnership of some sort.
Yeah.
So 9 is the number of transformation, and that aligns with Mars, which is the planet that embodies action or supports action, taking action. Action, wrapping things up. That's 9 transformation energy.
Yeah.
1 is the number of independence, new beginnings, and new directions, which embodies the energy of the sun, which is about your vitality, independence, how you show up.
Yeah.
And then 2 brings in the energy to support balance in partnerships and relationships that nurture collaboration, mutual understanding. And then that's the moon energy. So so there's just a small sampling of how, the planet that's associated, and this is universal energy. You can Google this, what planets are associated with what numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at them together and you're like, oh. So if you're feeling a particular thing, you might look at the numerology of the planet as well as what house it's in. And then also, what else? What am I missing, Peggy? When you want to look at how a planet impacts you?
The sign?
The sign, yes. All right, so this is big energy, karmic energy. Big karmic energy. So you're also going to want to check your karmic lesson numbers in your numerology chart because with Saturn, who is the Lord of Karma, is still retrograde through November 15th. Karma and karmic matters are going to come up. It's going to be look for unfinished business, both professionally and personally. So just it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And then my last announcement is that the return of personal year forecasts for 2025. Last year I did an audio recording, and it was just more of a global forecast for all life path 1s or personal year 1s, 2s, and on. People didn't really jive with them. It was more, they weren't as personal. And I prefer the personalized reports. They're more fun to do. They take a little bit more time and they definitely cost more, but they're worth it because it gives you something to really look forward to. I know I've made a couple for you, Fee, over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're amazing.
So, thank you. So what you'll get is a PDF that you will review with me live, and then we'll explore your personal year, how it impacts your karmic lessons and soul contracts and relationships. We're going to look at that 9-1-2 energy. And then I'll do a tarot overview for each month. They are the price of a standard spiritual mediumship reading. They're 125, 60 minutes, but it's recordable and you get a PDF guide. So they're really
amazing.
A good value.
Yeah, that's
like a great Christmas gift too, or holiday gift.
And you're doing like a limited amount of these though, right?
Well, what I tend to do is it depends on how they book. If I get slammed with a bunch of them, I'll be like, oops, can't do any more.
Yeah.
But if they trickle in, then I'll continue to do them. But when I shut them down is usually the week before Christmas, because then that gives me time to do it so that people have these before January 1st.
Okay. Yeah. So get on it, people.
Very cool.
Get on it, people. Get on it, people. Yeah. Because I if I feel overwhelmed, I will shut them down.
Yes. Don't overwhelm her, but also go buy your things.
but also
get yours.
Get yours.
Yeah. Get in line, but don't push in the line, right?
Yeah.
Don't be like Black Friday line. Be like a normal.
Yeah.
Good
Holy
long
crap.
line.
I can't imagine. Right? Oh my gosh. 100 people. I'm like, oops. Now I know what I'm going to be doing.
All right. So now let's get the jump on November's energy with our friend and astrologer, the Happy Mystic, with Peggy.
Peggy, tell us what we need to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what, and you know what? Listening to your numerology report, there were some things that I'm like, oh my gosh, that overlaps so much, especially with Saturn going direct on November 15th and that kind of what's all in there. So I think you're going to see hear some overlapping themes a little bit, or at least I felt like it was overlapping.
It's validation. It's validation because they those two connect the dots.
So November, what is sticking out for me is this theme of having to kind of go deep or dive down deep to pull out a sense of peace. This is kind of like having to walk into the dark in order to find the light. Which
very Scorpio.
Very Scorpio. And this really seemed kind of perfect to me after those last few months we've had with those back-to-back eclipses, and last month having that solar eclipse, which I know we talked about before we started recording, really hit us pretty hard. That was a pretty potent one for me, at least.
Yep.
So this theme of finding the light in November is really kind of sounding extra great, I think, and refreshing for me right now. But we will have to go a little deep before we get to the light. So let me explain where I'm getting this from. And we'll start with one of the moons of the month, which is our new moon. And that's going to be right away on November 1st. And like we said, that's going to be wearing the costume of Scorpio. And new moons really make the conditions right for new beginnings, fresh starts. And so this will be Scorpio flavored fresh starts. So this is diving deep into our psyche, going into the depths. So this is a very heavy new moon. This isn't like a fun, nice one. This is a very heavy one, not necessarily bad or, something to be worried about, but just heavy. So in the fresh beginnings, they're not going to be shallow. They're not going to be those surface level. This is going to be real raw things. We might feel a little vulnerable, and the Scorpio new moon may want us to get a little uncomfortable. Yeah. And because that's what it feels like, like sometimes when you have to face reality, it can feel uncomfortable. Okay. So this is really kind of looking at what you've been hiding. And a lot of times that's hiding from ourselves. I'm not saying like everyone's walking around with like super secret identity stuff. It's not like Days of Our Lives, that we all have these crazy hidden things that we're, like, I don't even know what, I'm a secret, whatever, like dating my daughter's boyfriend or something weird like Days of Our Lives. Not those kind of weird secrets. Okay. I'm just talking things we might be hiding from ourselves might be popping up at this time. So that will be again on November 1st. And then on the 15th, we have our second moon of the month. We have our full moon. And this time wearing the the costume of Taurus, which is very different to our Scorpio costume. And of course, full moons are all about closing doors. This is closing chapters, revising, endings. And this will be flavored by that Taurus energy, and it wants nothing more than to find peace. So
Yeah.
it craves the calm. That's what it wants. And a few ways that Taurus does that is through seeking out simplicity, routines, and a feeling of security.
Yes.
So, yeah, Taurus wants to know what's coming around the corner. It does not like surprises. It just likes to feel like, okay, I'm set. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm set. So at the beginning of the month, we have this Scorpio new moon asking us to dive deep into our psyche and pull out and deal with this heaviness that sits at the bottom. And then we have our balancing force, this Taurus full moon that wants to kind of calm those waters. It's like you can breathe. You've set yourself up for a more peaceful existence, both inside and outside. So I kind of feel like Taurus is like a rope tied to our ankle in November in a good way, because it's like we're exploring those heavy depths with Scorpio. And then that Taurus full moon is like yanking on that rope and pulling us back out. And it's like saying, okay, you've done a good job. You've worked really hard, but you cannot stay down there, because there will always be farther to sink if you go looking. And that's what you have to watch out for with Scorpio. If you go looking for deeper and deeper and deeper, you're always going to find it. So Taurus is pulling on that rope and saying, come back into the light. You integrate what you learned down there, but now find yourself some peace and quiet.
Wow. Yes. And buy yourself something nice.
So
and eat good
Black
food.
Friday. Black Friday. Yeah, it's a nice way to,
right?
Yeah, to split up November though too. Totally makes sense. You get towards the end, you get towards Thanksgiving. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it.
Nope.
I mean, the heavy stuff, but it sounds like it's got to happen. Like I feel like, and we kind of talked about this too, that it's kind of like we all feel like something's coming, but it's like we all kind of feel the heaviness, I feel like. So it kind of seems like we're going to have to dive into a little bit more. And then there's the peace, like toward the middle of the month.
I'm glad for it, right? Because it really is about that 9 energy, wrapping it up in order to start something new. And so you can't start something new without wrapping up the old. We're diving in. But thank you, Taurus, for being there and saying, okay, you're done. It's time.
Yeah.
Taurus is like, look, I'm tired of your shit. Let's go.
Yeah. It's like the bull, right? It just wants to like sit in the pasture and just like be calm.
Graze. And graze.
Yeah, don't piss it off. Don't piss it off.
No, right.
But I grew up in the country. I have been chased by bulls. Okay, don't piss them off. But
yeah,
most of the time they are absolutely chill and they do not want to get riled up. So,
unlike chickens, roosters.
Yeah, chickens always are crazy. So there's one really important thing to think about, I think, with this Taurus full moon also. And that's that Taurus really has this need to feel secure. And this could be, this is like outside security, but also within ourselves. So not just feeling like we have enough, but also feeling like we are enough. Again, something that we talked about earlier, this feeling of validating, we are enough. We need to value ourselves. And it also has a helper that will help the full moon do that. And that's Uranus, because it's going to be conjunct that Taurus full moon, which means right next to it. So they're just right next to each other in Taurus. And Uranus is the planet that asks us to be authentic. So it's the part of us that needs to do things our own way, according to our own set of rules, nothing like imposed upon us by outside pressure. So this is influencing this Taurus full moon. And I feel like that's a perfect companion, because, finding inner calm, giving yourself that gift, and feeling secure in who you are, no matter what anybody else thinks. So I feel like that's a great middle to November.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What a beautiful energy to do inner work in, right? You have to go deep. It's like, again, there's that Saturn energy, right? Like you have to go deep. You have to clean your room, but you don't have to stay there.
It's not going to stay a mess. It's not going to stay a mess, the whole time. At some point, you're going to be done cleaning it, and it's going to be a nice place to come home to.
Thank you. I was like, I don't know where I'm going with this analogy.
She wrapped it up for you. That was great.
She did too, with a bow.
It's like
Because
flipping
you
a
know what
switch.
I know because I do that. That's how I try to sell it to Sophia all the time. And Sophia's a Taurus moon, and she's the Capricorn rising, but she'll live in a mess because she's the creative type. But so I have to sell it to her in that way of, you should probably clean your room. Like, doesn't it feel nice when your room is
And
clean
it
and like you
does.
come home and like everything's peaceful and in its place and it looks so pretty? And so yeah, so I constantly have to do that analogy for her. So
Because it's logic, right? But then
yeah.
also she's a double earth sign, so she's like,
Hmm.
you're gonna need to sell it to me.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
A good strategy for sure.
Strategy.
It
You
works.
need strategies, right? Sometimes with those things.
Yeah. Yeah. You got
Yeah.
to find out what works for your kid.
Yes, for sure. We have a lot happening in November. Actually,
Yes.
I feel like it's jam packed. So I'm like, how long you got? But no, I'm going to try to keep it. I'm going to try to keep
No,
it
you're good.
concise.
Yeah.
Um, because so on the same day as that Taurus full moon, so November 15th, you had already mentioned this in the Astro-Numerology report, is that we have Saturn that has been going retrograde. It will be moving forward again. So it's going direct, and that's still in the sign of Pisces. And I also think this is great timing with that Taurus full moon, because in Pisces, with Saturn there, it feels like Saturn's saying, just let go, just submit,
Yeah.
just like, and it's like Saturn's been looking backwards. So
Mm.
it's been more reflective. It's been
Mhm.
looking inward since the end of June. So now it's ready to close those doors and take action again. It's like, okay, I've thought about it. Let's go forward. And how does Saturn want us to take action? It wants us to take things seriously. It wants us to
Yes.
put in the time and the effort and the self-discipline. So in and around November 15th would be a great time to rethink how you've been tending to your inner sanctuary, that calm
Yeah.
space inside yourself, and think about what outside things or people you've been letting influence that, and revise it if needed. Like
Yes.
rethinking if there's ways that you need to set more boundaries around your sense of peace. And that middle of the month will be a great time to do that.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yes. We also I have two more. It is like
Yeah. I
boom,
love
boom,
it.
boom in November. Okay. So on November 25th, we have Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius. So, a lot of people freak out about Mercury retrograde, and I haven't. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't freak out about it, but to me it has more like potential to just be frustrating more than like, throw your hands up and freak out.
Yeah.
Because we always want to go go go. We have these plans in our mind, we have how we want things to play out, and then Mercury retrograde can just kind of slow our roll by making things just not go as planned. Like that's how I usually see it, and that's how I usually feel it. Like, oh,
Mhm.
this isn't going how I planned it to go. I better just go with the flow a little bit more. So we have that going on through December 15th. And then the very last thing that I will mention before I get into the horoscope is that when we already talked about this, we have Pluto moving into Aquarius
Finally.
on the 19th, finally, and it will stay there until 2043.
Yay.
That just seems like insanely long,
Woo.
but
Mhm.
Can,
Mhm.
yeah.
can we add some
So
bells and
yeah,
celebration?
we need like fireworks
Yeah.
We need
or something.
put
We'll
a
add
little
some.
some sound in
I'm gonna
here.
add some sound in that.
Do, do, do.
Yeah. There, that was my
Mhm.
fireworks sound. So
Mhm.
that was fantastic. But yeah, we have this new generation. This is ushering in a new generation
Yeah.
with Pluto moving into Aquarius that may have the perspective that power is found through equality, through innovation, through rethinking or even abandoning tradition if need be, and through
Yeah.
celebrating individuality. So it's
Nice.
it's kind of a power shift is how I'm seeing this Pluto,
Yeah.
moving into Aquarius. So I'm
Yeah.
just excited too that this is going to work through, hopefully in my lifetime, right? That like
Yeah.
we're gonna see how this plays out, and that I think will be really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I do too. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, what is it going to be like when Pluto moves into Pisces? Like, how? Because the babies that are being born now are going to be of voting age. They'll be in their 20s, right?
Mhm.
And so they'll, but they'll already have been psychic their whole life. So
Yeah.
how is that going to change the
Mhm.
landscape of the earth? So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm knocking wood. I plan to be here until 92. I'm going to be, yep, I've already decided. I went into the Akashic Records. Look, I got no guarantee, but
That's my
92 sounds
plan.
like a good age.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I've had a good run by that point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. And the older I get, like the further, like I used to think, oh my God, 60 is like so old. And now I'm like,
Right.
that's so
Oh my God.
young, you know,
Mhm.
like really.
And
You're
Yeah.
not
also,
that
I
far
hope I
away
make it
from
to
me.
60.
Yeah.
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 Oh man. Okay. So I have some November horoscopes
Yay.
Okay.
for us. And starting with Aries, the beginning of the month, this could bring lots of opportunities to feel extra vulnerable because we all have that Scorpio new moon we'll be dealing with. But for Aries, you might have a boost because it's landing in Scorpio's house as well. So themes of control, as in your sense of control, releasing the ego a little bit in order to be vulnerable and be able to bond with people in your life, which could feel challenging for independent Aries. So then we also, for that Taurus full moon, that also hits Aries in Taurus's own house. So a little extra strength for that as well. Finding peace through simplicity, structure, security, both inside and outside yourself.
Okay.
For Taurus, the new moon at the beginning of November could bring a desire or need to kind of turn over some rocks in your relationship and see what's underneath. So going deep and pulling up to the surface, anything that's been glazed over in your partnerships that may need to be addressed. And again, this might not be easy for Taurus, because Taurus likes to keep things pleasant and keep things serene. That might not be fun for Taurus, but by the middle of the month, you'll be hosting the full moon. So then you get your turn to put your attention on yourself. So your image, your sense of self. And since you're hosting Uranus, which will be conjunct that Taurus full moon, a greater need to put the most authentic version of yourself out into the world.
Oh, I love that.
Or, yeah. Taurus, I feel like this is going to be a good month for Taurus.
Yeah.
Gemini, the new moon at the beginning of the month could open some new doors for you when it comes to work, health, general day-to-day routines. So those adulting parts of life, which isn't always fun. That's not like, fun like relationships or whatever, but this will be more than surface level because we have Scorpio here. So this is going to be going deep into some of those things. And by the middle of the month, you may need to slow down. So for Gemini, like slow way down more than you're comfortable with to really look inside yourself, reflect, and sit and listen quietly to reframe your sense of peace and calm. But it might have to be done slow and, slowly and quietly. For Cancer, so with Cancer, I'm just getting this new intense something at the beginning of the month. And, for those of you who are on the dating scene, the conditions could be right here for like fireworks level, new fun relationship.
All right,
So,
Cancer.
yeah, like that would be the time. This is not to say this is going to be like a definitely like committed relationship. It could just be short term, but could definitely be memorable. So there you go. If you're Cancer on the dating scene, beginning of the month would be fantastic. But if you're not on the dating scene, this could come out as a need to make yourself really vulnerable by shining your light brighter and expressing yourself creatively, but from a new, deeper level and sharing it with other people. By the middle of the month for Cancer, you may be seeking peace and simplicity within your friend groups and rethinking which groups you're a part of and whether or not they're adding to your sense of inner calm or they're working against it. For Leo, it looks like this month could feel like going deep in the roots of who you are so that you can blossom for all to see in a way that feels better to you by the middle of the month. That's kind of the transformation that I'm seeing with Leo in November. So at the beginning of the month, vulnerability and control issues within the home and family, that could be on the forefront. So what issues are lurking there that need dealt with? That's the roots aspect. And then by the middle of the month, this will shift more into feelings of serenity and security through rethinking how you're showing up in a public way. So your career, who society sees you as. So there's the blossoming part of that dynamic.
I love that. I'm a Leo moon, so that's
Oh,
helpful because it's kind of what I'm struggling with it right now, like showing up in a public way.
yes. And by the middle of the month, hopefully that will open up for you by the middle of
Yay.
November. You'll feel
Yay.
really good about it. For Virgo, November's themes have to do with perception. So at the beginning of the month, this is seeking out information that's more real. This is really hard right now, right? So
Yeah.
you may have to go deeper to find it. So this is not just hearing like the shallow, one paragraph version of something. This isn't just like reading the headline and scrolling, but like opening the whole article, reading the whole thing, asking more questions to get more of the story at the beginning. And then at the middle of the month for Virgo, this shifts into finding a new worldview. So one that brings you more peace and a sense of inner stillness. And maybe you're integrating those things that you learned at the beginning of the month, like letting go and not clinging onto the way that you have seen the world and being able to open yourself up to a new way of seeing things.
Mhm.
And for Libra, at the beginning of November, you may need to dive deep into questions of what you actually value. And this is both outside of yourself and within yourself. So taking a real assessment of that and what could make you feel more secure. And Libra may not love having to dig into those depths and seeing things that it may not want to see. But we have the Scorpio moon here, so this would be a good time to do so. And by the middle of November, this personal growth could be put to good use within committed or very, very close partnerships. So rethinking how you show up within those relationships. And I'm really talking committed here. The walls you have up, the control dynamic, revising those things in such a way that you can feel more secure and you can feel more peace and you can feel more calm. For Scorpio. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, listen, my psychic senses over here are going crazy,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to get all into the details.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Remember that venture that I told you that you and your significant other need to go in together?
Yeah.
That's what's coming up. Because of what you said about business,
Yeah.
this is the perfect time to say, okay, well, we're going to go over here and do this thing. I'm just saying that's what my psychic senses say.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Peggy. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that is fantastic, actually. I think that looks, what did we say here at the beginning for that?
That was Libra.
Oh, looking inside
Libra.
yourself. Yeah. That might be beautiful timing, actually. Looking inside yourself, kind of like, what do I want? What do I need to look at? And then blossoming it into something, which, yeah.
Yes, that's
Within
what
a
made
relationship.
the things fire. Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. For Scorpio. So, of course, Scorpio is hosting the new moon on November 1st. So, this is big time energy for Scorpios to high dive into your psyche, just like diving in, pulling out those parts of you that you've been stuffing down there and reimagining your image. So, it's like crafting the 2.0 more real version of yourself.
Okay.
And then in the middle of the month, you can take this newfound you-ness and bring that back to your most important relationships. So partners, best friends, thinking about how to be more unapologetically authentic in your relationships and how that can bring you more serenity and peace. So big month for Scorpio. Sagittarius, which is me. When I'm reading this, I'm like, yay. Sagittarius may not have the most carefree month. Fantastic. That's okay, because which Sagittarius may not love. We love the carefree, but it is what it is. There's a season for everything. So it is at the beginning of the month. This will be a season to take some time for yourself to reconnect, to meditate, to journal, do some therapy, whatever feels right, and pull out some things that have been stuffed down and look at what's there. This is kind of like cleaning the attic or the basement. Asking yourself, has anything been grabbing the steering wheel from your subconscious or unconscious mind? And what needs to be addressed that's stuffed in there? So that's the beginning of the month for Sagittarius. The middle of the month could bring a little bit of a breather because there'll be some simplicity and in work and day-to-day routines. So just keeping things simple. But then by the end of November, Sagittarius is hosting that Mercury retrograde event through the middle of December. So, and again, we don't need to be worried about this. It's just be ready to go with the flow. There may be some hijinks in your plans, but just be ready to roll. Sagittarius is pretty good at going with the flow. So maintain that. Okay, Capricorn, if you have been thinking a major goal or future planning changes, the beginning of November may be a great time to really think hard about it. And I'm not saying like make any drastic changes right now, but more like really taking a hard look at how you actually feel about the direction you're going in. And is it just momentum? Or how do I actually feel about it? And if you want to make a pivot, what people or groups of people would be great to join with that can help you on this revised trajectory that you want to be on. And that could be
So
really
on
heavy
point.
work. Yeah. I feel like you're ready for it, Joe. I feel like you're ready. I feel like you're like, yes. And here's some good news too, because that could be really heavy work for Capricorn at the beginning of the month. But there's some fun, there's some kicking back in the Astro forecast for y'all by the middle of November. So take a break,
Nice.
relax, refresh. Again, really hard for Capricorn. Capricorn's like, why? And keep going. You need a break too, Capricorn. So middle of the month, just do it. Put your feet up. Okay.
Advice taken.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Aquarius. And, Aquarius is always on the lookout for more authenticity. And at the beginning of this month, and maybe authenticity in your big goals, whether those are related to career or not. It could be another big goal that you have. But is there something you really want to achieve, but you've been holding yourself back from for some reason? So if so, now is the time to bring that to the surface and at least think more about it. And by the middle of the month, your search for greater authenticity could shift into the home and family. So in what way haven't you been truly yourself within the family or home? And how could changing that bring you a greater sense of peace? And last but not least, we have Pisces, and you are currently hosting Saturn, which is actually trine this new moon, the 1st of November. So there may be like an extra need for self-discipline for Pisces with this new moon. So this is to take it seriously and commit. And for you, it may be taking more seriously your mind expanding exploration. So is there a spiritual practice, a belief system, or a worldview that you've been more curious about? And if so, now is the time to start cracking the books, learning, looking online, doing all the things, exploring in a more serious and in a more committed way. And by the middle of November, this newfound knowledge could shift how you perceive the world and bring you a greater sense of serenity and a feeling of inner calm. So there is the horoscope for November.
Awesome.
Thank you. I love that format. How you go beginning of the month, middle of the month. I
Yeah.
love that. That's helpful because it
Yes.
gives people something to look forward to if they get a break from the intensity of the beginning of the month and the Scorpio, intensity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like it can give, I like that format because then it kind of makes you see how the energy can shift through the month. And sometimes it's a transformation. It's like, oh, I use the thing at the beginning of the month for the thing in the middle or the end. So
thank you so much.
Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share on your stories. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free, and leave us a review. This helps our podcast grow. And if we grow, that means the ability to do this work grows with it.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and don't let anyone tell you what to do.